Oh, that is so
All
cool.
right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode here on the Sunni Defense. MashaAllah, we have an all-star cast today.
Marshmallow Man is here.
Excuse me, guys.
Camera was fixed. Would your camera like the way you use FaceTime, for example?
The thing
Okay.
is, تفضل.
In any case, we got Hassan again. We got Hassan Shamrani as usual. Even though Ma'anna, he's as usual. It's always a pleasure. Hassan,
Assalamu alaikum.
Hassan, alaikum salam. And we got Hani, of course. We got Hani. He's back again.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hani. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And for the first time, we got brother Abdullah, and he's going to be sharing some interesting stuff about Shiism in the UK, I guess.
Yes. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullah bikhair. Thank you for having me in the room. The brother Hassan has known me for a number of years. We've been on some interesting excursions together through our time. Running into bumping heads with a lot of prominent rawafid, major also and minor ones who have now unfortunately become famous. But bi'idhnillah, slowly but surely we will deal with them in a tactical and yet appropriate manner, where for the sake of Islam and upholding moral values, we will try to deal with them in a just manner. Unfortunately, knowing that there are people that are unjust and probably worse than the Jews and the Christians. So it will take a lot more inner strength to try to uphold this. And if we do anything wrong, then it's a deficiency in our character. But bi'idhnillah, and we do this seeking sincerity, inshallah, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. If I do say anything wrong, please feel to interject and correct me. I mean, what can I say and where can I start from? If one was to speak about their deviance alone, it would take weeks, months, possibly years. And each time you see them, they don't feel to. They don't.
If it's Hassan, it's going to be years.
Sorry.
Go on. If it's Hassan, it's going to be years. If it's Hassan, it's going to be speaking about them.
No, it's true, mashallah, tabarakallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him. Wallahi, I've learned a lot from him, and he's an inspiration. He's an inspiration, and he's a type of a dare I say a steroid to take, which really puts you in the right direction of where to focus your energy and your anger in the correct manner, of course. But my area in the northwest of London has a lot of rawafid. They have a lot of places. Alhamdulillah, in one sense, they have decreased as they have become more financially wealthy, having a grip on the oil fields in Iraq. They are concentrated on more dunya things, including. Yes.
Having exploited Iraq, you as an Iraqi, Abdullah, you know best.
Yes. No. I mean, same rawafid we'd see in college now, who taking a bus pass to school are now in Lamborghinis and stuff. I mean, this isn't something that really upsets me in terms of if somebody had a wealth that they earned themselves, but unfortunately, this is a wealth that they are taking from the population of Iraq, including their own. They are masakin. Layman Shia also that may not understand this yet. One day, if they are intelligent enough, they will. And if not, they take money from our Sunni brothers. And I've been saying this for years. They will, and they will not stop working on the Middle East until they have a firm grip on it. I have been myself in places like Al-Khoi Foundation, where they said that they are, and a place called Rasul A'zam, which is in the northwest of London, also Cricklewood. Khoi is in Queen's Park, where they have said themselves that they will get revenge for the attacks in Samarra. And what they meant by this was, of course, attacks, proxy militias and things which they're doing.
Against Ahl Iraq now.
Naam?
Against Ahl Sunnah in Iraq now.
Against Ahl Sunnah in Iraq, against Ahl Sunnah in Lebanon, against our brothers in Bahrain, against our brothers in, Yemen, our brothers in the east of Saudi Arabia, and anywhere else, and in Iran, of course, also. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them what they deserve and, send earthquakes to regions that are populated with them solely and spare the Sunnis. I mean, so we must be, I think the main thing, and you guys would definitely know better than me, as I told Hassan, I've been out of the game for a while and I'm rusty. So ilmiyan is number one. And if we can all work together to try to get some literature, as unfortunately our brother Farid pointed out correctly, that there is very limited literature in the English language which deals with their deviance. I'm more than happy to exert all and every effort to try and work to get some publications out, hard copy, and how do you say it, frontliners of foot soldiers distributing them, including going to their places, which I have also had the honor of going to Maida Vale Iraqiya Foundation with Hassan also, which has been very interesting. And I don't know if he remembers, we met the deviant, deluded Caribbean Rafidi Isa, who's now in the park.
I met him before?
I believe we met him together we went to Maida Vale together. You remember, a long time ago?
SubhanAllah, I don't know. It could be.
We met him, and there was a fat Shi'i you were arguing with, and in the background was Isa was there also. This is the place that he attends.
When we went to the temple.
Yes.
Okay. He
yes.
was there.
Yes, I know his face very well. I've seen him. I've seen him in Oxford Street. I've seen him in Edgware Road. I've seen him in Maida Vale. This is the place that he attends.
He's a miskeen. He's a miskeen. He has converted to this Iranian religion, knowing nothing.
He is.
I see Master Farid is getting impatient. I just want to mention one thing.
I have no idea what's going on, but do go on.
Because I know that obviously, Brother Abdullah al-Iraqi, he's not going to praise himself. And he's not going to like that I'm going to praise him. And nobody is perfect, of course. And we have to all improve ourselves. But there's one thing which I see in Brother Abdullah al-Iraqi that I didn't even have the time to introduce him. Farid doesn't even know him. It's just Farid and our own group. This brother is loyal, I'm telling you. I knew that from the day when I saw him walking towards 10, 20, no matter hundreds of them, and full of passion. And he knows their khubuth and their evil and the zandaq of the religion. So these are the people, subhanAllah, if we had only 4 or 5 of these people, and we have, our group is like, how big is our group? Our Tawbah Shia group is like 4 to 6 active members. If we had like 5 more of this type, that's it, akhi. It's like having 1,000 people from other groups. So he's a very loyal brother. He knows these people in and out. He's Iraqi. He lived with them. So there's a lot of learn from him. He's going to support us in the da'wah, which is the most important thing.
Yes.
And yes, subhanAllah, 10 years ago, me and you used to go walk around.
Yes. A very long time, Akhiya. And like I said, my main thing is, if we can work together to try work on distribution material. I have very good links with people who would potentially be able to sponsor us. Brothers I know in Egypt, a very nice brother who's, his name is Hani, just like our brother Hani from Chicago. And also I know brothers from Saudi Arabia and brothers in Nigeria who are also very passionate about this topic. And Algerian brothers as well, mashallah, tabarakallah, who have been refuting Rawafid for over 20 years and are very famous in Arabic, French and English chat rooms who I've spoken to tonight before this show and this blessed gathering, who are also willing to come and to do anything to help, to educate and to refute these people. Like I said, it shouldn't be something where we waste time. And believe you me when I say this, I am not joking. I am willing to exert all efforts together as a group to do whatever we can to be a thorn in the throats of these khubatha. You know, wallahi, it's very sad at that time when we were warning, saying be careful how they will you know, slowly be able to take over from our countries, and you know, either by infiltration or by violence and stuff like that. You know, I don't know of a sect or a cult or a group of people in the world that is more anti-Islamic than the Rawafid, than the Shia, and all of them. I don't. There's very few of them, very few of them that are innocent. And unfortunately, the only upper hand that they have now is that they have, you know, the wealth. But alhamdulillah, we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have Tawheed, we have Sunnah. And inshallah, if we, like I said, put our sincerity together, then we will get somewhere with our projects. And
Well,
I have people in...
Abdullah, akhi, you know, to be honest, I think we have different points of views in regards to that. To me, it seems like most of them are pretty much juhal. And I'm not just talking about you know, the layperson Shia. I'm even talking about talabat al-ilm. I'm even talking about ulama who are juhal.
Yes.
Subhanallah. But that's just my take.
No. I agree with you completely. But the thing is, one thing is that they do effectively is when they are told to come and answer the call, they're all there. In the sense that they give da'wah when we give da'wah. Does that make sense? They're a reactionary people.
They are.
When we do something, they are like our tail. They like to be involved, and they like to come and, you know, disturb the peace and the status quo. This is how they are as a people, and this is how they have been throughout history. So nothing's going to change. And I think history is one of the most important aspects to contextualize everything, and also for us to be able to understand the present, we must know the past. And this is an encouragement for myself.
Maulana, if somebody is not talking, let them use the mute. There is some background noise of a bit of a disturbing nature, unless somebody's in the wudu area. So I'm just letting
Sorry,
you know.
I think that's some of the passengers with me. One of the brothers has a flu.
Oh, Allah.
No, that's because of my
Allah
mind.
yashfi. Ya akhi, Allah yashfi. My God.
I apologize about that. I apologize. But yes, you know, the places that are still running, one of the longest Rafidi publications, the Muhammadiyya Trust, which is based in Willesden, and it's 30 seconds walk, which I actually went and spoke to, you know, the owners of it, which they bought outright for 1.4 or 1.6. My mind, you know, is kind of forgotten, £1 million. And just down the road from that, maybe 30 seconds walk, is the Dar al-Kufr, which they call Dar al-Islam, but we call the Dar al-Kufr Foundation, which used to be a place that serves, you know, Ayatollah or Ayatollah Shaitan Hakim. What's his name? Hakim, or, you know, the one who died, Hakim, in Iraq. Yes.
But they're all sons of Sistanis, Abzordistanis, Kebabistanis. All of them are sons of some random Istani.
Yeah,
Guys,
no.
we have quite a few questions we need to get through. So let me just pitch a few, and we'll try to keep it short. Remember, guys, I mean, because sometimes more than one of us would like to comment, and let's just keep it short. So the first question is from Kareem al-Badawi. Is Surah 940 about Abu Bakr? This is, of course, about the Hijrah. If yes, is there proof in Shia books? Anyone?
Who answers this one? Me?
Please, and Abdullah, please help the brother out. Get him some tissues, man.
Yeah, no, I've told him he apologized. He doesn't know what's going on at all.
Okay.
The incident in the cave, right?
Yes. Is there proof in Shia books for that?
Well, right here on the spot to answer quickly, all I remember for now, I haven't seen one of the major scholars Tafsir rejecting that incident, which indicates that what they do is in a very pathetic manner to subhanAllah. And as I explained always, they see bad as good, good as bad. They try to water it down. And you can see it in Naqshbandi lectures and whatnot. They're going to say, yeah, so what? He was with the Prophet there, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So what? Ashab, sahib, companion, dogs are also called companion in the Quran. All I say is, imagine this verse was about the Prophet and Ali. Oh my God, they would prove the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity of Allah, Ali, and the Prophet. Wow, look, he is with the Prophet. Allah mentions him, in Allah ma'ana, with us. Yani Allah is the Prophet and Ali and so on. Anyway, so all I know, what I remember now on the spot, quickly, because obviously we can't. Their scholars, their main scholars, major scholars and books do not reject that incident at all. They try to water it down. So they tried in a tricky way to reject it and kind of attack Abu Bakr now.
Hassan, may I interject and say something? I told you I'd keep this brief, and I've arrived at my destination. However, next week, bi'idhnillah, I have a treat for the brothers that I have, if you guys will allow me to invite a brother, Abu Hafsa, who is an Algerian brother. And I'm sure he will be more than happy to either, if you guys want him to, he will address a topic. Or if you want, you guys can give him a topic and then we can, let him go on. And believe you me, he will go on for as much as you guys want. And inshallah, it will definitely trigger questions. And I hope also those and answers for those who are actually sincere in, in learning about this. Bismillah.
Yeah. Point is, Yani, who asked the question, if he was Sunni or Shia, he shall know that most Shia scholars and Tafsir, as far as I know, do not reject that incident altogether, which indicates that they know that's a historical fact. What they do is they try to water it down or even try to portray Abu Bakr as a coward enemy of Allah who wanted to expose the Prophet, a'udhu billah. Whereas we know if ثاني اثنين إذ هما في الغار, if that would be about Ali, oh my God, yani, just that could be a future. We could actually make Akhi Farid a future show about what if certain verses were about Ali, which are about some Sahaba, and they try to water it down. Oh, they would try to prove the asl of. Okay, no, I think that's sufficient for this. No.
All right. Okay, so next question is. Okay, so we have some questions from Anthony. Seems to be very interested in issues that have to do with ahruf and qira'at. Anthony, this show has mainly to do with Sunni Shia issues. So inshallah, if you have any questions to do with ahruf and qira'at, please do contact me on my Twitter page. It's at FARID_BHR. You can contact me through there, and we can talk about as much as you like. So carrying on. It seems like, okay, so how do Shia scholars view the Crusades, given that Rawafid Shias helped the Crusaders? Also, what are the Shia opinions on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahmahullah, or rahmatullahi alayh, considering they fought him? I have no idea. I haven't read that. Never really looked it up. Anyone?
If Hani doesn't want to, I would like to.
No, I don't have much to say about that. I mean, they hate pretty much everybody. I can't find the people they love, actually. I'm having a hard time finding the people they love.
So if you know,
so go ahead, Hassan.
The person who knows, the person who asked the question, if you knew Arabic or Farsi, it would take 30 seconds. There is so many video around material on YouTube from the scholars, small ones, big tire, small, big turban, small turban. All of them regard the Futuhat like some modernists and other enemies of Islam regard it. They even have some mustalahat, some own terminologies they prefer to use. They say these are not Futuhat, these are Jara'im, these were criminal activities. These people, yani the Sahaba, they only went to spread with the sword their mighty empire for their bellies and whatnot, and nonsensical stuff. If that would be true, we would see the remains of the palace of Umar ibn Khattab in Medina. There is no. Or we would see Umar ibn Khattab making his son his successor. Oops, he didn't do that. Or Abu Bakr doing it. He didn't do it. And Muawiyah doing it. Muawiyah is not for the Khulafa al-Rashidin. Doesn't mean he's bad. Point is, these are the Khulafa al-Rashidin, the best of the best. They spread Islam and they see the Futuhat as one of the worst things. And Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi was the one who saved Egypt from Tashayyu. Some Shias lying and saying, oh yeah, like the Yasir Khabith clique and whatnot. They say, oh yeah, there were Shia in Egypt. Yeah, they were not 12ers. They were Ismailis. And even those is Salah ad-Din, before dealing with the Crusaders, and this is something we need to learn. Before dealing with the Crusaders, he dealt with the Rawafid there, with the criminals there. They were criminals. They in Egypt, they used to curse the Sahaba in public. It was similar to Syria. Syria today is majority Sunni, but is ruled by a minority Alawi gang. So Egypt, the same, was ruled by a minority Ismaili gang, not by, it was a Shia country as Shias lie. And who was it? It was Salah ad-Din who dealt with them before dealing with the Crusaders. So they cursed Salah ad-Din. In their books, their scholars, Salah ad-Din is an evil criminal to them. God, my dear brother or sister will ask the question, Umar bin Khattab, Khalid bin Walid, the greatest Sahaba, criminals to them. So what do you think of Salah ad-Din to them? Or I am to them? Or anyone who comes after them? Arabs ever saying, Madam bin Ba'da kufr. There is no sins after kufr. These people have already taken the greatest awliya of Allah as their enemies. So what do you think they will say about the likes of Salah ad-Din and anybody after Salah ad-Din? No.
All right. So here's a question that seems to be directed at me about Furat bin Mahbub narrating from Abu Bakr bin Ayyash. Brother, I've received your email. I'll check it out and inshallah I'll respond to your email directly. Dr. Ahmed is asking about how to tell a non-Muslim about Aisha's age. I actually just finished recording a video about that today, so stay tuned. Inshallah, the next few days that video will be uploaded. Okay, so here's one, which is I'm sure this is going to be one that's going to take quite a while to respond. Allahu alam. Do Shias believe the Quran is incomplete? Some told me yes, and others told me no. Honey?
No, there's an easy answer to this. Very easy answer. Best answer.
Let Honey speak, man.
I'm Honey then.
Well, I mean, we've
Mute,
spoken
mute,
about
yeah,
this.
Hassan, mute.
We've
Mute, yeah,
spoken
Hassan.
about this. No, I'm gonna let Hassan speak on this one because I have like a 1 hour video on this. So
Okay.
they do say verses are missing. A lot of them do.
I
And
would-
the early ones, the later ones, not as much. The later ones, it seems the most popular opinion among those who believe in tahrif among them is that the verses were not in the proper order.
No.
But other than that, you have some of the earliest Shia of Banu Nawbakht. They believe that there was additions to the Quran, meaning there's extra verses inserted by the Sahaba that were not even said by Allah. But this is the smallest minority among them, and they don't exist today. And so, yeah, Brother Hassan can answer the rest of that.
I would disagree to formulate it in that way. I would say, look, in the end of the day, even someone like me, and you guys know my stance, I always say I do da'wah primarily from a Sunni person to the Sunni masses. I'm not the one focused on really, because I don't see, because I was myself a Rafidi. I used to be a Rafidi, and it is rare that people from minority sects leave their minority sects in masses. It's rare. It is. That's a reality. Not because they're on haqq. How many Ahmadis you know who leave their religion? How many Jehovah's Witnesses do you know compared to the other way around? For example, you see more Catholic people becoming Jehovah's Witnesses than the other way around. It's because it becomes a hawiyah, it becomes an identity. So in the end of the day, even someone like me and all of us should care when we mention certain things like tahrif. I, as an ex-Shia, say most Shias do not believe in tahrif. We should differentiate between their laymen and their scholars. So whenever people ask me personally, and wherever I go around and preach, I will always repeat and even correct others, not enforce my belief or opinion, But yes, I will say that this is the most correct one, most likely, inshallah, that no, most layman Shias do not believe in Tahrif al-Quran. So it would be better to say, whenever the question is raised, do Shias believe in Tahrif? We should always ask, what do you mean with Shias? Do you mean the layman? Do you mean the modern stance? Or to make it easier, we say, listen, if it with regards to the layman Shia, no, most of them don't believe in Tahrif. In Iran, in my country, they kiss the Quran, they do some khurafat, they walk under the Quran, all bid'ah and dalalat, of course. Nonetheless, they do in their own way ta'zim of the Quran. They read the Quran, they don't know the opinions of the Zindiq Majlisi, of the Zindiq Kulaini, la'natullah alayhi, on Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi, his teacher, and all the other Zanadiqa in the madhab, Ni'matullah al-Jazairi, and all the others in the school of Zandaqa and Kufr, who did not just believe in Tahrif, but actually pushed it and wrote books to prove it. So most layman Shias do not believe in that and don't know it. And that's why it's always my statement. Remember my statement? Shias, and that's why here I slightly disagree with Brother Abdullah as well. Some things he said. Shias are the biggest victims of the Sharia before everybody else. Most of them, maybe he meant their khabith as in, once they become very extreme, practicing or whatnot. Most layman Shias are innocent people. They are ignorant. They don't know this. And even as Farid said, those who have some knowledge, this type of newborn mu'ammamin, the likes of Shubairi, these masakin,
Hassan, I want to comment on that.
Okay.
Even the ulama.
Yes. I wanted to go even that. Even some of the ulama don't know. I accept. Even some of the ulama, because subhanallah, I was in Iran, when I've been to Iran 2003, some of the ulama are only into fiqh. They're into the fiqh stuff. Some of them are in the irfan, Sufism stuff, So yes, there is a possibility that some of them are not aware. So it is better for us Ahlul Sunnah to be, and this is the characteristics of a Muslim, of the Muslimin, to be the most just of all people. So to be the most just of all people, with regards to the topic of Tahrif, I advise every Sunni on earth and every Muslim and human being on earth who does research into this matter to differentiate between the Shia layman people and a certain group of the scholars. The vast majority of Shia laymen do not believe in Tahrif, in the distortion of the Quran. They don't even know that some of the scholars, not just some, and not among the most important of the scholars, most important Mufassirin did. They don't know. And those who know, some of them, like the likes of Shubairi and other Masakin, they think, it's just some here, and Saduq at least didn't believe in our early ones. Actually, they don't understand that Majlisi is obviously right when he says that by necessity, we have over 1,000 narrations. Kamal al-Haydari says they have over 1,000 narrations, more narrations than about Ghadir, more narrations about Imama. They are the only sect that have more than 1,000 narrations in support of the distortion of the Quran. And then they have the audacity to bring here Bukhari, here Muslim, here something where they have to enforce their distorted understanding to say, but you Sunnis do believe in Tahrif as well. We Sunnis have 1,000 narrations.
Jazakallah khairan. I gotta stop you right there, man. Next question.
Yeah.
All right, we have to summarize, man. We have a lot to go through. Why do the Shia have differing views on the Sahaba? Some Shia like the Sahaba and others curse them. I hope Hani's going to take this one. Hassan, please mute.
The reason they have different opinion on the Sahaba, and some of them like them and some of them hate them, is that those who like them are lying to you. And those who hate them are being honest with you. So that's a short, summarized answer.
It's beautiful, mashallah, beautiful. Could it be Jahal, Hani? Could it be Jahal?
Wallahi, Jahl, that is possible. We're talking about the phenomenon, not the exceptions. It's not the exceptions that we're talking about. Yeah, there could be some people who don't know that their sect even preaches that a lot of Sahaba were evil, or they apostated, or they conspired against Ahlul Bayt, or it could be that there's some Shias out there that don't know this, but these Shias are probably detached from the houses. They are detached from the community. They are detached from their scholars and the teachings of their madhab. As for those who are deeply rooted in their madhab, they clearly know, and I'm assuming most of them know this stuff. That's why we're saying more than likely it's a person is just simply lying to you. They'll say, no, we don't curse them. And I've had this experience myself. I've had experiences like this myself when I would ask some of my Shia friends, like, do you curse the Sahaba? And they're like, no, we don't. And I remember I asked one of my Iranian friends, he was my best friend actually. I asked him, do you curse the Sahaba? Omar, I specifically said Omar. He said no. And then after a while, I asked him about the narrations about the broken rib. And he said, well, the narrations are there. It means he believes in them. And therefore, you know for a fact that he hates his guts or probably curses him behind your back, but just doesn't want to announce it in front of you.
All right, guys, here's another question. And okay, before anyone answers it, let's try to time this. Let's try to get this one down in 2 minutes. If you guys feel like you can't, then I guess I'll do it. It's the question is this: the verse of stoning and breastfeeding of adult 10 times was revealed, and the paper was with me under my pillow. When Messenger of Allah died, we were preoccupied with his death, and a tame sheep came in and ate it. Grading Hassan, Darussalam. English reference. The grading is Hassan. Not I wasn't talking to Hassan himself. Hassan, you want to do this one?
I just want to give one comment. Just one comment.
Okay.
Ya Ahl Sunnah, Ya Ahl Quran. Do you know why they use this hadith as evidence of tahrif, of the distortion of the Quran, proven by Sahih Bukhari? Yeah? By Sahih Bukhari. Because they are not the people of the Quran. If they were the people of the Quran, they would know that the Quran has been transmitted orally. They would know that if a Marshmallow Man or a goat or whoever eats a page of the Quran doesn't mean that the Mus'haf has vanished. That's it. The rest to you, bro. Work on what I said from there on.
All right. Let me keep this very brief. The narration is in Sunan ibn Majah. It's narrated by Ibn Ishaq in the An'ana form, which means that he did not say that he heard the narration, and therefore hadith scholars, critical hadith scholars, grade this narration as weak. However, even if we were to say that hadith is authentic, people did memorize these verses. So, for example, the verse of stoning was memorized by companions. However, it's not in the Quran because the verse was abrogated. And since the verse was abrogated, it wasn't included in the Quran. Inshallah, that's sufficient. We do have articles on the concept of abrogation in the Quran. So please do look up 12vershia.net, and in the search bar, type in abrogation, and inshallah you will find answers that will serve you. Okay, next. What is the Shia view on worshipping graves? If it is part of their belief, is there proof in their books? Let's try to keep this short, guys, because I know this is one that we'd like to expand on.
Very short. Obviously, like all other people who are indulged in shirky, polytheistic, khurafi, superstitious activities, they will not admit to it. They will say, we do not worship graves in the first place. We do not worship Abu al-Fadl. We do not worship Mary. We don't worship Jesus. Of course, their actions belie their statements. And if you want more information, I would advise you to type in Google or go to givetoshias.com. There's an excellent article about Al-Baqi', the cemetery in Al-Medina of the Ahl Bayt and the Sahaba that they are obsessed with. Of course, only the bit of with the Ahl Bayt that they want to turn. They would love to turn into a like Qum style, Karbala style, Las Vegas. Lights everywhere and great veneration. There's an article. I contribute to that website. There's an article. This is my article. Where I've put all the narrations from the Imams, especially from Al-Baqir and Al-Sadiq alayhim as-salam, that are similar in nature to those in Al-Bukhari that prohibits the veneration of shrines. Forget about veneration. The veneration of graves, building structures over graves, let alone invoking the person in the grave. The article is called something, what is it? Al-Baqi', the Imams of Ahl Bayt would something like this. The Imams of the Ahl Bayt would be happy if they see the leveled graves of Al-Baqi'. Check it out, Gift to Shias. There's full of references from their books.
Okay, so this one is more of a request more than a question. Okay, which is Farid, tell Shamrani that I love him for the sake of Allah, please. So for the sake of Allah. Next question is, does cursing the Sahaba and Aisha take a person outside Islam? Anyone?
Wallahi, I would say it depends. You see, they're not everybody who's counted as a Sahabi is the same status,
Right.
and therefore, if somebody wallahi had an issue with wallahi somebody like Muawiyah or Wadil ibn al-Asqa, these like really minor personalities, obviously it doesn't cause any of that. al-Mu'mineen Aisha is a much bigger problem if they're cursing, and yes, I would say that that's very risky, may take one out of the folds of Islam. You're talking about Arad of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You're talking about a person who's called al-Mu'mineen in the Quran. You know, you're talking about a person that Allah proved her innocence for a good reason. Then and so it becomes your personal, I guess, judgment. I would assume most of the scholars would make takfir, but I personally wouldn't go as far as making takfir, but it's definitely a huge issue. I wouldn't get into takfir either way as much as possible. I'll leave that for Hassan and you, Farid. I'm sure you have.
Hassan has removed the mute, so I'm guessing he wants to comment.
Ahlul Sunnah are Ahlul Tafsil. This is basic that every Muslim Sunni must know and learn. That means in every matter we have tafsil. For example, even those who hold the opinion that leaving the prayer is a matter of major kufr, there's tafsil to it. What does leaving the prayer mean? Is it one prayer, two prayers? Is it, do you understand? So every issue, every matter has details to it, which is called tafsil in Arabic. Same with cursing the Sahaba. That is why these things are difficult to find in English language, but in Arabic language, if you study these things, you will understand that the scholars have differentiated between, for example, the person who insults or makes takfir on the Sahaba. Does he insult and make takfir on the vast majority of them? This is kufr, because Allah makes general taraddi on the vast majority of them. Is he accusing them of kufr or just insulting them? There's a difference. There's a difference between sab and takfir, of course. Sab or even la'an is different to takfir. If I curse a Muslim or insult a Muslim, is a big sin, but it is different to making takfir on the Muslim. So look, dear brother or sister, everything has tafsil to it. What is important to know is that it is 100% bila shakkin wala raib a sin, a major sin. And but in the end of the day, one thing is very important, and that's the beauty of us Muslimin. We believe that Abu Bakr and Umar and Ali, none of these people are the criteria. Yes, of course, the Prophet ﷺ praised Abu Bakr's iman over everybody else's. Of course, the Prophet hinted to, or some Sahaba, with regards to hating Ali is a form of nifaq, not that you're completely out of Islam. All of these things are correct. However, not Abu Bakr, not Ali is God. Can somebody enter Jannah by being, for example, a monotheist at the very least? Yeah, a monotheist worshipping Allah alone, and then because of his jahl or misinformation, he disliked Muawiyah or Ali or Abu Bakr. We, as Allah worshippers, say yes. Whereas their religion has compromised everything. Tawheed and Iman to what? To the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. So that is why we are not like them. We are not saying that somebody who insulted Abu Bakr is in hellfire forever. Whereas in their religion, if you say that Ali bin Abi Talib doesn't have the superpowers of Fulan, then you're already a Nasibi, let alone if you insult him. Not that it's right to insult. Not that it's right to insult Abu Bakr and Ali. No. But we don't make them the criteria of the religion. Never. Criteria is Allah.
Okay, so here's another one. I don't know if you guys know, this is about Ismailiyya. Explain a little about Syria Ismailiyat. You guys have any idea? No? Okay.
There's significant numbers of Ismailis in Syria. This brother or sister confused. There's Alawiyun, Alawiyun or Nusayriyun as they are called, the Alawi sect there. There is no Ismailiyah are mainly there. Some of them are mainly in Bahrain in small numbers, and in small numbers in the subcontinent. In Iran, for example, they don't exist, non-existent. In Bahrain, in the Khalij, some here and there, and in the subcontinent. And the Imam is number 55 or something. He has a Twitter account. He looks like Johnny the cowboy from I swear down. You can check it.
Okay. Why does Shia accept the Sunni standard for the Quran but not the Hadith?
I would say this is a problem. This requires a study, in the sense that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt reject the Sunnah. And when we say Sunnah, we all know what we mean by Sunnah. And the time of the Imams, the people were always transmitting a hadith. There's a ton of scholars, there's a ton of people transmitting a hadith. The average Muslim, they all memorize a hadith from the Prophet. And a lot of these hadith are not even in the books of the Shia. So did the Imams reject them? A lot of the time you see no, that they didn't reject them. In fact, they would tell their followers, follow the Sunnah, follow the Quran, the Sunnah, or present our narrations to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet. Whatever opposes them, reject it. So you find stuff like that from their Imams. A lot of hadith that could be, like for example, Hadith al-Nuzul. Hadith al-Nuzul, the narration where that says that God descends on the last third of the night or something along those lines. This is in the books of Ahl-Sunnah, right? And their Imam was once presented with this hadith in one of their books, and he accepted it. He had no issue with it, but he gave it an explanation. Now, what is this telling us? This is telling us that they were accepting a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. They weren't rejecting. Other examples would be them, for example, rejecting, like Nazal al-Quran ala sab'ati ahruf, stuff like that. You'll find their Imam saying, no, this is a lie, and there's only one harf from one God. So there is this requires a research because it wasn't as it is today. There was no such thing as books of the Shias and books of the Sunnis back in those days, back in those early days. There was a hadith of the Prophet. Everybody knew the hadith of the Prophet, and the Shia, the Imamiyya, were like attributing opinions to some of the scholars of Ahlul Bayt. But there was no rejection. There was no rejection of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Unlike today, if you tell them Sahih Bukhari, it's like basically, they have an allergic reaction to it. And this was never the case. Sahih Bukhari is only a book that collects the hadith of the Prophet that were very widespread and accepted pretty much by everybody at the time. Nobody. In fact, I'll tell you what is even more. If you go into the books of the Shia, their authentic hadith like in Al-Kafi and whatnot, you'll find the Imams of Ahlul Bayt saying, nobody lied upon the Prophet. Nobody lied upon the Prophet. One of the companions of the Imam asked him, are the Sahaba lying? And the Imam said, no, they're not lying, but sometimes there's a hadith that are abrogated. And maybe the Sahabi didn't know that. But they don't find, even Abu Huraira, like how many times do you hear them attacking Abu Huraira? You don't
not
find.
Much.
Yeah, I mean, in our days, the Shia are always attacking Abu Huraira. But when you go to the hadith of the A'imma of Ahlul Bayt in their books, the ones that they transmitted, I can't even find one hadith where they're attacking Abu Huraira.
I think there's one where it mentions Abu Huraira, Anas bin Malik, wa imra'a. But that's just like one. I don't even know if it's authentic, but
probably weak. But if it was such a vital thing, you would find them attacking Abu Huraira left, right, and center.
Right.
Their A'imma. They would have attributed a lot of stuff like that to them, which means even the Shia back then didn't have an issue with Abu Huraira. And you know for a fact that the Shia back then didn't have an issue with Abu Huraira because they attribute to Abu Huraira the fadal of Ahlul Bayt.
Let me play devil's advocate. Imagine me with an oversized turban now. Thalathatun, 3 were notorious for lying upon the Prophet. Aisha, Anas ibn Malik, and Abu Huraira. Shubayrian is like in the Rafida and the scholars. They circulate these narrations. So how would you answer that? That they attribute to Ja'far al-Sadiq, the Aisha radiallahu anha, Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu, and Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu.
Specifically Anas, that's interesting. Because I don't see Anas, I can see why they would have an issue with Aisha for political reasons. But I don't see why they would have an issue with Anas, to be honest with you.
How would you respond
Because
to
of hadith al-Tar.
Most likely it's weak. That's number one. Number two, it contradicts what we just said was Sahih and Al-Kafi.
Yeah.
So it's conflicting with what is Sahih, where the Imam said it doesn't. Nobody was lying. They said it's out of Jahl maybe, but nobody said that anybody was lying.
And you know what's the funny?
And they attributed the Fadal of Ahlul Bayt to Abu Hurairah and Anas bin Malik, and then all of these guys in their books, you'll find Abu Hurairah and stuff like narrating maybe Ghadir, narrating maybe the names of the Imams, narrating. So the early Shia had no issue attributing something like this to Abu Hurairah. The late Shia wouldn't want to do that. And so when the late Shia are confronted with this, they're confused. And so they come up with really weak replies. They'll say, well, Abu Hurairah was mixing truth with falsehood. Or something like that, because they can't comprehend why would Abu Hurairah narrate something like this openly, and it's like transmitted. And their own Imams were like doing taqiyya and not even saying it, which is a bit odd. So the whole thing just conflicts with history. You're looking at Al-Khazzaz al-Qummi's book, aren't you?
I am. I'm looking for it. You missed that. You know me too well, man. You know me too well.
How much money have you wasted? How many times did I tell you? Do not buy Shia books. For Shia books, only PDF on the computer.
They're gonna shut their shops down if I don't, Yahi.
That's my thumb of rule. I never, not a penny of the books. Abu Ismail, as you know, we went there to the place. By the way, guys, video on its way. The keys to the hellfire. That's all I'm saying. That's what it's called. It's gonna be called, inshallah. The keys to the hellfire.
Give me a sec to find Al-Khazzaz's book. You guys. Okay, here's another question, by the way. This is an interesting one. This is a lovely question, and I'm really curious to know what you guys have to say about this. What's the first question you would ask a layman Shi'i about their beliefs?
Nah, this is so good. Very
Beautiful
good
question. Tafadhal, Hassan.
It's good. It is good. If I would sit with a Shi'i and the time was right, it must be the right time. You can't talk about religion at any time of play. If the time was right, I would say to him, dear brother, it's correct that you believe in 12 infallible, perfect guides. And the rest of the ummah, these masakin, these Sunnis, Bakris, they're following Abu Bakr and Umar, isn't it? Yeah, true. So my dear brother, can you guide me with clear evidences from the Quran? I don't even want their names. I don't want their names. No names. Today, we have a special offer. I would just ask, can you show me where Allah has said that follow these 12 people? No names. The 12, their entity, their title. Because your scholars are very eloquent. When they start their khutbahs, they say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Wassalatu Wassalam, Alo Rasulillah, wa Alo Olihi, At-Tayyibin, At-Ta'irin, Al-Masumin. MashaAllah. Your scholars are so eloquent, they can define the Ahlul Bayt very precisely, exactly. Tayyibin, At-Tahirin, Al-Masumin, Al-Ithna Ashar. Did Allah mention them anywhere? Did Allah tell me follow them? Did Allah tell me if you don't follow them, then you're going to get punished? Can you show me somewhere? I don't want no names. No taqi, no naqi, don't worry. I don't want even the number. Did Allah say they follow Ahlul Bayt? Don't bring me hadith al-Thaqalain. Sunnis narrate this. It's in the Sahih al-Muslim. It is in the Sahih Muslim. And it has a complete other meaning. It's about respecting, taking care of Ahlul Bayt. So can you show me from the Furqan? I will concentrate the discussion on the Furqan, i.e. the Quran. No.
How about you, Hani? What's your question? What would the first question? What would you ask the Shi'i layman about their beliefs?
I don't know. Wallahi, there's a bunch of things you could ask them, including where are you taking your religion from? Is a pretty good question. I feel just to know why did they pick to take the religion from places. Yeah, and then from there, there's some tafsil to it. How do you know that this is endorsed by Ahlul Bayt? How do you know this? How do you know that? And then this opens a discussion with things
because
that they're not familiar with.
because when I was in the shrine of Abul Fadl Abbas, when I called upon him, I swear the night his soul came out and touched my head, wiped it over it, and I was healed from my cancer. Salawat. Oh,
This is not the Shia. This is not the Shia you want to be having conversation with. Trust me. This is not the guy that's gonna convert.
Yesterday I was reading Akhi Hani and Brother Farid. I was reading through the comments of the scholars with regards to the khurafi, bid'i, shirki, du'as, and supplications. They always use a term. They say mujarraba. It's mujarraba. Our scholars,
That's this.
you see, it's mujarraba. It's experience. Our scholars have experienced it. If you pray to Fatima in sujood, it will give you answer, because Hujjatul Islam Mirza Baba Kababistani, son of Shiristani, he experienced it exactly like Catholics. Exactly when you watch a documentary about a Catholic town in Mexico, they swear down on their mothers and grannies and nannies and daddy's life that when he called upon Mary, his soul came out at the night, woo, and he was healed. This is زين لهم الشيطان أعمالهم. This is what it is. The shaitan has verified for them their actions. That's what it really is. So most of them
Let's keep
think
it going. Barakallah fiqh. Let's keep it going. Very briefly, I guess I would ask who are Ahlul Bayt? The first question I ask a Shia is who are Ahlul Bayt, and why are Ahlul Bayt limited to 12 people?
that's good.
That would be it. That would be it, and that opens a door to many further questions. Okay. This is a strange one. I don't know, guys. Please, we don't have too much time, so we have to get through these fast. Shia tried to defend Ilm al-Ghaib using Ayat al-Kursi. How do we respond?
They refer to the part of the verse where that Allah yani reveals the ghaib to whoever He wants, and like in other verses, we say, listen, do not play with the Quran. Of course, Allah gives the ghaib to whoever He wants to. The problem is not that the Prophet ﷺ or even me, I have portions of the ghaib, and you, all of us, because the Prophet ﷺ informed his companions, and they informed their companions, and they informed their students, and so on. The problem is to give the literal sifa, attribute, knowledge of the unseen, the way Allah has it to the Imams, and they've done so. And in future sessions, inshallah, when we go for a kafi, you will see in the narrations, they don't just say the Imams have some portions of the ghaib. If they would have said that, wallahi, none of them, no Wahhabi, Bakri, Salafi, Sunni, nobody would have had issue with Tashayya, Imamism. No, for a fact, and you shall see in our future sessions and videos, they and the scholars have described the knowledge of the Imams exactly as the knowledge of Allah. And here, no bi'ithnillah, with the permission of Allah works. You can't say somebody is as mighty as Allah with the permission of Allah. Somebody has the knowledge of Allah with the permission of Allah. Exact knowledge of Allah. And they've done so, and you shall see in the future, inshallah.
Even if one were to say that would be shirk, because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to create another God, if He was to create another God with all His powers, that would be bi'idhnillah, but that would be shirk.
Of course,
So-
of course.
Okay, so next question. What is the Sunni position on tawassul and shafa'ah, and how does this reconcile with the ayah in Ayat al-Kursi that states من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه?
It's all about Ayat al-Kursi today, isn't it?
Yeah,
It turns out
I'm
all of the
surprised.
Shi'i, all of the Shi'i aqaid are just embedded into Ayat al-Kursi. Even maybe the names of the 12 Imams now are in Ayat al-Kursi.
It's not the same person. It's not the same person who asked. So
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
You want to handle that?
So, intercession, we believe in it. I mean, we believe in intercession for the people who need it. The Prophet ﷺ will do intercession on the Day of Judgment for the Muslims who need the intercession, meaning the Muslims that are ala shafir al-hawiyah, maybe the ones that are really in trouble and they need the Prophet ﷺ to help them out. So he will help them out. He will supplicate God to them. And this and that. If they did good, if they did what is deserving.
In regards to intercession in this life, interceding through someone who's alive by going to that person and saying, please make dua for me. That's something, and that's not what we're harsh against. We're harsh against, as Hassan always says, holding the opinion that someone dead has the ability to hear all things and to be all hearing. Hassan, would you like to expand on that briefly? You're muted, by the way.
Their questioner, know that Shafa'ah is in the day of judgment. All of us might be in need of it. All of us might be in need of it. It is a matter for the day of judgment after Allah has given the permission. So you can't go around and say, I asked my shafa'ah from Abu al-Fadl, from Ali, from Abbas, from the Prophet Muhammad. How do you know that Allah will give the permission to Abu al-Fadl or Fatima or Ali or Hussein or Jesus or to Mary to give you particular? Because Allah must give him the permission that he's allowed to do shafa'ah for you. So shafa'ah is for Yawm al-Qiyamah. As for calling upon others as a form of worship, and it is a word of worship, you can't call upon somebody who is ghaib away. You can't play around with analogies like, oh, don't you go to a doctor? I do go to a doctor, but I don't sit at home and raise my hands and say, Ya Dr. Madad, like Allah Yari and the scholars doing their shows, sitting in their shows. So calling upon someone other than Allah is a form of worship, because by necessity, you must believe that that entity is all hearing, all seeing, all responding to you, Al-Mujib. Even if you don't call it a God, you have turned it into a God. And this is where the shirk lies. This is
okay. So next question, guys. Remember, there's not much time left. Did Muhammad call Ali Mawla?
Did Muhammad call Ali? Who's Muhammad? Sounds like Muhammad sounds like my local baker.
Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali. The boxer.
Did Muhammad call Ali Mawla?
Well, the questioner, I don't know if he's a Muslim or a new Muslim. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure about that. So in any case, does anyone want to answer that?
The Prophet said to Ali, "Man kuntu mawla, fahada aliyun mawla." And mawla here can certainly not mean ruler, because our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not a jahil Sistani who can't speak Arabic, so he hides in Najaf for a few decades because of his embarrassing Arabic. The Prophet knew the Arabic language well, so the Prophet certainly did not mean whoever ruler. Ali here, right here, is his ruler too. Absolute maskhara, nonsense. The Prophet was 3 more months alive and the ruler of everybody. So it's impossible for the Prophet to have said, whoever I'm his ruler, because fa is harf ta'keed, emphasis. Fa aliyun mawla. So Ali is his mawla too. So it can only mean whoever I'm is mawla, as it's explained, closest form of ally, love, loyalty, or as some explain, as in slave ownership, that Ali is as well, because the whole topic was about the slave girl. That's why you need to go to ghadirkhum.com, study, learn, and then you will understand these things in detail, inshallah.
All right, Hassan, here's a question to you. What school do you follow in Sunni Islam?
And fiqh, mainly I follow the Shafi'i madhab, and scholars that I trust when it comes to other, when it comes to masail that there's ikhtilaf. But there's a basic, just like my own people in Iran, the majority of them, they follow either the Shafi'i and I'm Shafi'i in Asl. No.
Okay, great. Is it true that Shias view Karbala the same as Haramain?
Oh, he left. That was his favorite question, I think.
Oh yeah, maybe. I was just reading Kamil al-Ziyarat.
Don't they view it as higher?
There's a lot of narrations that say that Karbala is better than Mecca and Medina.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of their essential books of, pretty much it's about Aqidah. It's a book of Adiyah, but they extract their Aqidah from it. And so it has deep influence on them. I would say, yeah, they view Karbala as a much greater place.
It's on the shelf right there, and I could look it up, but for the sake of time, let's just skip that one. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of narrations that come to Ziyarat about that.
It's for political purposes. Again, they want to keep their followers going after those areas, those graves. Mecca has always been a Sunni bastion of Islam. And
Right.
so they don't want the people going there. You see, even there's a video by one of their scholars saying that a lot of their students from Iran went to Mecca. They had some talks with the quote unquote, he calls them Wahhabis, and they were influenced by the Wahhabi ideas. So they don't want their followers intermingling much with Sunnis. They mainly want them to go to those grave sites. If they go there, then money is spent there. The people who take care of the graves, there's always been something called the Sadana. Sadana are the families who take care of the grave sites, and these guys make quite a bunch of money out of the visitors. And it's a show of political might as well, that look at us, we can rally a lot of our supporters, we can bring them there. Yeah, just keeping, it's a cult mentality. It becomes something along those lines.
You mentioned a while ago about the narrations of Abu Huraira, Anas bin Malik, and Aisha, and I looked it up in Kifayat al-Athar by Al-Khazzaz al-Qummi, and you're right. They have narrations about the naming of the 12 Imams and about the 12 Imams in general, attributed to Abu Huraira and to Anas bin Malik and to Aisha. So that's
Yep.
I found that interesting. Of course,
Yeah.
they're all fabrications according to Ahl Sunnah, but I mean, Shi'is have attributed narrations to those three people. Here's a question to you, Hani. How do Ahl Sunnah view the claim that the Quran is created? Sorry if this is redundant. You have 45 minutes to answer that question.
45 minutes. I think I was gonna make a video about the Sunni stance on this. We had a brother, Abu al-Abbas.
Mute ya, Hassan.
He made a video or two, maybe he made a video or two about the Quran, and but they were in the context of a refutation, and he was trying to present the Athari or Salafi stance. But I will, inshallah, make a video showing the stance of Ahlus Sunnah in general. To long story short, Ash'aris and Mu'tazila, as you know, the Shi'is, they follow the Mu'tazila, they mimic the Mu'tazila. Ash'aris and Mu'tazila are pretty close when it comes to this. And so the Mu'tazila will simply say the Quran is created and end of story. This is because they don't believe God can speak anyways. So for them to say that these are the words of God, it's a bit of a problem. So they say it's created because God can't even speak it. There's no voice. He doesn't have, he has to create. They say that he has to create the voice. And as for the Ash'aris, let's talk about the Salafis first, actually, before the Ash'aris. The Atharis.
Briefly, Hani,
Yeah.
please briefly.
The people of Athar had a really simple view because they were simple Arabs at the time, and they understood things pretty straightforward. They said, it is the words of God. We never heard that the Prophet said that it was created, so we don't call it created. We just say it's the words of God, and we believe in it like that, and they don't get into any of the details. In fact, Imam Ahmad used to detest people who got into details and discuss this issue. He just told people, believe it's the word of God, end the story, don't call it uncreated, and obviously don't call it the creator. Don't call any of that. The Ash'a'ira, as you know, they're rationalists, and they are also Sunni. So they tried to reconcile. They kind of took a stance in the middle, as always. So they took the Mu'tazili stance, but they elaborated more on it. So they said that there is a created aspect and a non-created aspect. The created aspect is obviously like our voices. When we recite the Quran, our voice is created. Like the ink and the paper and this and that, they say this is created and this and that. And then the uncreated aspect, they say, is the inner speech of God. This is the kalam al-nafsi, the psychic speech, the inner speech. This is what they say is uncreated, that there's meanings that God is trying to convey, and the Arabic was a tool used by God. So it's in the middle. It's neither this nor that. So that's a simple answer to a not simple question, because it's very complicated. It's a lot more time than this.
It is. Okay, so here's a very interesting question, and it's a question I hear Shi'is asking from time to time. It needs to be answered. How will I know which school of thought I will follow if one becomes a Sunni? If I become a Sunni, I'm guessing. I'm assuming it's if I become a Sunni. Wallahu a'lam. Or I guess if one becomes a Sunni.
I mean, I'll let you or Abbas answer this one.
Hassan, you want to answer this one? You're still muted, by the way.
Oh, I said Abbas, I meant Hassan. I don't know why.
Hassan looks like an Abbas to me.
I don't know what I thought about Abbas.
Okay. Well, he's still on mute. So I'll answer that one until he figures out he's on mute. You will know, or you will know in the same way that you've known which marja to follow. That's a brief answer. Hassan, you're still muted, Akhi. Okay, you're unmuted.
What was the question?
The question is how will I know which Sunni school of thought I should follow if one becomes a Sunni?
SubhanAllah, I don't know if this is a question with pure intention or with evil intention, but SubhanAllah, I remember when I used to be a Shia missionary, I used to ask these questions as well to Sunni laymen, but obviously here they are not dealing with Sunni laymen. SubhanAllah, your answer is sufficient. Yani. The thing is, you're not obliged to follow anybody blindly. You know, the madhahib, the four madhahib, they have strong usul. It's one of the ideal ways of learning the deen. You can choose one of them, there's no problem. You can choose someone who you trust who is a mujtahid. Allah has given you an aql. You can clearly see that Shiism is a religion of shirk and batil and based on ambiguous verses, playing around with verses. So that can't be the deen of Allah. You have understood that Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is based on muhkam, strong verses, explicit verses. The beliefs are derived from the Quran. If you understand this, then you can also understand who to follow. Or shall I just repeat the statement of Ali bin Abi Talib that is authentically narrated in our books, where he said, do not look at man for the truth. Know the truth, and then you will know the man who are upon the truth. This is a true statement. Somebody who opened his heart for the deen and for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understood and read the Quran with no hatred and bias and with no sectarianism. If he understood these usul from his deen, then he will also understand furu' from his deen, the minor matters, the branches of the deen, by following a mujtahid, somebody he trusts, or from whatever madhab he is. Of course, Rafidism is madhab. Madhab is a religion of kufr.
Hassan, we have, by the way, we are like 35 minutes. We have 35 minutes of questions to go. Okay, I mean, in the sense that we're responding to questions that were asked 35 minutes ago. So we have to get really through this quickly. And please do mute your phone.
Give me 2 free quickly. Let me do it quickly. If you give me 2 free at the same time, I'll do it quickly.
Ma'alish. Okay, so this one is excuse me. What is a major act / belief in Shiaism that makes them outside the fold of Islam?
Again, this has tafsil. You can't make blanket statements like this.
May I, Hassan, may I give a really quick answer to this?
Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is the same answer to not just Shi'is, but to Sunnis as well. Any person that worships other than Allah, and please mute your mic, Hassan. Any person who worships other than Allah is taken out of the fold of Islam. And you have to keep in mind that the meaning of worship is not to believe that entity is God. That's not just the only way to worship someone. Worship is ibadah. Ibadah linguistically means acting with humility and submissiveness towards someone to an exceeding amount of submissiveness and humility. That is the meaning of worship. Okay, so if I were to go to someone and out of humility and out of submissiveness, if I were to wipe my face on their feet and start licking their feet, okay, due to humility and submissiveness, then that would make me a mushrik. And if I were to make sujood to someone out of humility and out of submissiveness, then that also would be shirk. So that's the brief answer. A Sunni does it, a Shi'i does it. It doesn't matter who does it. Whoever does it is taken outside the fold of Islam.
I would add to that definition, though. I would append to it, while believing that benefit and harm can come from this person.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary, because you see in the Quran, there are verses that say that the Asnam do not benefit or bring harm, and in which the kuffar actually admit to that.
Well, maybe they admit to it after, thinking about it, but initially they just take it.
There are clear verses in the Quran in which I believe it's Ibrahim, in which he mentions that the Aslam, do they benefit you and do they harm you? And instead what the tribe of Ibrahim, what they say is, well, we found our parents following them, we found our fathers following them, iqraran, that these asnam don't benefit and don't bring harm. So yeah. Okay, so the next question is, how do Shias explain the 12 Imams having powers of Allah?
Very quick. They will come with the common excuse of many mushrikeen. They will add the clause bi'idhnillah, with the permission of Allah. Alhamdulillah, I've seen throughout the years that I do da'wah, there are some Shi'is of intellect. They understand the fallacy of that reasoning, which is, you can't just by saying bi'idhnillah attribute things to Imams or anybody else if it has no reality. Bi'idhnillah, I might fly. Can I fly? No. Who gave Allah? When did Allah give these sort of powers to the Imams? And besides, by just giving them these powers is ridiculous and makes these Imams look like fools. For example, Fulan Imam, Ali could, divide the whole earth into two parts if he wanted, but then he's dragged like a lost dog through Medina by Umar al-Khattab, according to the laughable narratives. So they use the bi'idhnillah, with the permission of Allah clause, excuse, which is wrong. And when it comes to the specific attributes of Allah, you can't use it anyway. You can't say, oh, the Imam hears everything. I can call upon Ali and he can hear me in Farsi, in Urdu, in Arabic, in different Arabic dialects. While I whisper in Lebanese dialect in Beirut in my living room, Ali hears me and responds to me. This is making Ali into Allah. No bi'ithnillah helps you, but in short, they will use the bi'ithnillah excuse, with the permission of Allah excuse, which is a fallacy. It is a straw man and will not help them.
Mm-hmm. Pagans
okay.
believe the same thing, buddy. Pagans used to say that Allah created the other gods. If you read the pagan poetry before Islam, they used to say, oh, we swear by, for example, we swear by Allah wal al-Uzza and their Lord Allah, or things along those. They had a lot of stuff like that. So they believe that basically there's a higher God that gave power to all the other gods. So it's the same thing. Then it becomes the same thing that Hassan just mentioned as well.
Okay, next question. Do Shias view non-Shias as disbelievers?
Yes. The direct answer is yes. Direct answer is yes.
Yes.
In one sentence.
Except the Juhal.
No. I mean, I say that they say, of course, they exclude the crazy people and the people who are immature, maybe.
I'm talking about the general. I'm talking about the average person, the Shiite.
Sure.
In their books of in their books of Usul Fiqh al-Aqid and all of these books, they call the Shia mu'minin. They don't call non-Shias mu'minin, meaning you're not a believer. Al-mu'min means believer.
I agree.
That's it.
Let's always do it the same way. Let's differentiate. Do Shia laymen believe this? No, mostly Shia laymen, they have been raised as Sunnis are misguided, but they're Muslims. Do Shia scholars believe that we are kuffar? Well, according to their sect, according to the statements, well-known statements in the books, everybody who on Yawm al-Qiyamah comes to quote wilaya is a kafir in akhirah at the very least, except they have a terminology, it's called mustad'af, somebody who is like, you see, they have connected everything to Imam in wilaya, whereas to us everything is about tawheed. So for us, somebody who dies and no message has reached them, we call him Ahlul Fatra. He might be excused. Allah might test him, this pagan, on Yawm al-Qiyamah with a special task. They have reduced everything to the cousin of the Prophet and his wilaya. So to them, somebody might be a mustad'af, somebody who is weak and his understanding was not exposed to the shirk of the Rafida religion, which they call the true religion, and then he might be excused. Anyway, their brother and sister, whoever asked this, please understand, their people who ask these questions. Everything has tafsil, especially in matters of the religion. There is no just yes or no answer. There's no yes or no answer. Just this is not that easy. Is there takfir in the religion against the Muslimin and the Sahaba? Of course there is, but even they have some tafsir. They have some details to it where they when and how they apply this takfir. Well, of course there is takfir in the madhab, and the very least is that they believe in akhirah. We are all kuffar.
That's true.
That's why they say you're non-believers. For them, the term believer is what? Mu'min.
Bedouin,
Right?
we are
So
doing.
So the term believer is exclusive for the Shia. They don't call a non-Shia a believer.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Next question, guys. Can we say alayhi salam on members of Ahlul Bayt?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Next question. Next question. How about modern people from Ahlul Bayt, like Hani?
Well,
Hani
you say Assalamu alaikum, ya akhi.
Hani alayhi salam, Hassan Shukrani.
Ya akhi, anybody who's a Muslim, you say what? You say Assalamu alaikum when you meet him.
No, Hani.
It's the same thing. Alayhi salam is the same as Assalamu alaikum.
Hani Farid, you know why people are sensitive about these things? Because they don't know Arabic. They don't know that alayhi salam simply means on him be salam. So it's like salam alaikum. It's because to non-Arabic speakers, it's a super holy phrase, which if you apply it on someone other than the Prophet, then there might come a thunder from the sky down upon you. This is just peace be upon him. Peace be upon him.
It's good to translate it. So
all right, guys. Next
alayhi salam is peace be upon him.
All right, next question, guys. Where is Ali ibn Abi Talib actually buried?
Quickly, let's do it quickly. He's buried. It is said he's buried in Najaf. Some claim in Afghanistan, in northern Afghanistan. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah has some statements about that. That's the grave of Mughira ibn Shu'bah. As usual, Aslan Arabs, the early Arabs, the early Muslims. When I say Arabs, it's because it's the reality. The majority, the early generation were Arabs. They were never obsessed with graves. I think even the Mushrik Quraysh, the pagans, weren't as obsessed with graves as the Rafida are. So nobody sometimes knows exactly whose grave is there. This is grave worshippers and venerators. So where Ali's grave exactly is, nobody knows. Just like many other Sahaba.
There's an opinion saying in Baqiyah, I read 2 or 3 ahadith from some of the Tabi'een saying that Al-Hasan bin Ali buried his father somewhere hidden in Iyas and Najaf so that the Khawarij wouldn't get him. And then he later took him to Baqiyah and buried him in Baqiyah. And this is like actual, there's a couple of reports on this.
Okay, next question. Does Bukhari include any Shia in his Isnad chains? He does, but they are Shi'is politically and not staunch ideological 12er Shias.
Except maybe not Rafidis, very extreme Shi'is. But then even them, these are not 12ers. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What is the best argument that the Sunni tafsir understanding of the Quran and Sunnah is more reliable than how the Shi'i view these things? Oh, it's a beautiful question. Maybe Hani will respond in future shows. How about we leave it at that?
We're going to have a series on their tafsir of the Quran. And yeah, that should be fun.
Feel the pressure, ya Hani. We were expecting a lot from you now, since you're getting requests. Okay. Well, mashallah, we're still like 20 minutes back, and now I just lost connection.
I need to. I have to get off right now, so you guys can continue. That'll make it even quicker if it's just 2 of you.
if it's just me and Hassan, we're gonna take longer.
Yeah, because sometimes we're both answering, the same question, so it's quicker, in fact. Yalla, guys. So I'll talk to you later, inshallah.
All right. Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. All right. Hassan, we need to go through these, man. There's just a bunch. Okay, so sorry about that.
Just quickly throw them at me.
Inshallah. The issue is sometimes, a lot of the comments aren't really questions, so I'm looking for them. There's a lot of comments. Why do Shias make a claim using this hadith that they tried to poison the Prophet? Is it authentic? And the question is, let me see. Ibn Abbas and Aisha, Abu Bakr kissed the Prophet when he was dead. Aisha added, we put medicine on one side of his mouth, but he started waving us to not insert the medicine into his mouth. We said he dislikes the medicine as a patient usually does. That's a famous narration. Yasser Habib uses this to suggest that Aisha killed the Prophet.
If Aisha killed the Prophet, Ali would have killed Aisha. No excuse. No excuse. Neither Ali nor any of the Bani Hashim, nobody ever excused Aisha of any of the filthy things they accuse her of. So follow the true Ahlul Bayt, the true Hashimis, which are these people that we have in our books and narrations who never even the idea came up to them to accuse Aisha of these filthy things. And don't follow these fake Naqvis, Taqvis, Sayyid, Miyids from, I don't know, from every country except, except that we know that they definitely have no relation to the Ahlul Bayt whatsoever, no matter if they wear green capes and black turbans. You know that it's all fake. So the true Ahlul Bayt, the true Bani Hashimis have never made any such accusations, nor do we.
Someone's asking about a narration Sahih Muslim, and that person included the number, but did not include the hadith. So I don't know what the hadith is. I can't look it up right now.
High expectations here.
Yeah, mashallah. Let me try to remember. Hadith number 549. Okay. Here's a serious question to Brother Shamrani. Who do you think is faster, Shadi or Zain? The fact that they run away shows their truthfulness.
Who's faster? Well, who's faster, Shadi or Zain? I don't know. Maybe one of them lives with his granny, and then he's allowed to do a lot of exercise. Is allowed to get out late. I don't know. So I can't answer this. Lives maybe with his mommy or something. I don't know.
Okay. Why are contemporary Sunni scholars? What are contemporary Sunni scholars that you think are good sources of information? That's a very open question.
It's easy for me to drop names, but I would say, look, as an advice from me, I would say the scholars in the Arabian Peninsula, and I'm the last person to only advocate Saudis. Absolutely not. There are beautiful scholarship in Morocco. I love Sheikh Al-Kamli, great scholar. There's beautiful scholars in Egypt, Ahl Sunnah everywhere. But mashallah, my experience is if you're asking a bit in the direction of when it comes to Rafidism, Twelverism, Shi'ism, I have never seen scholars, tullab, people of knowledge who have studied in Saudi Arabia and then at the same time have fallen for which I can't understand, or mistake of not understanding the danger and the battle of Rafidism. They're very good. They're strong when it comes to the matters of Aqidah, at the very least when it comes to Batil sects. Very good. And of course in other regions as well. But this is my experience. And that's why even, who's the author of the book? Usul Madhab al-Shia al-Ithna Ashari al-Qaffari, a Saudi doctor from Riyadh. And the doctors, the PhD holders who write refutation against Shiism, the amount that they have there, and I've seen those books, it's incredible. It's incredible. Because they're strong when it comes to Aqidah, mashallah.
Okay, so next question, I'm going to be very fast with this one. Why do Shia say that you can only take religion from infallible people, but they take narrations from the Sahaba of the Imams?
Very good question. Your question has refuted the Shias. With your question, you have refuted them. Very good, exactly. It's a fallacy. It's an empty claim. Let's go further. Let's go further with one line. Let me add one line. Dear brother or sister, ask a question. The next time any of you says you have to follow infallibles, tell them, all right, I will leave my Bakri Sunni madhab right now, but I want to follow infallible. Who is the last infallible? The 12th one. Where is he? He's hiding. So is he guiding me on Marja, infallible Iranian Marja who speaks broken Arabic and can't read the Fatiha correctly? Oh no, you have to choose one of the Iranian Maraja. Go away. Go away. You keep that. This is your Ahl al-Bayt of Tehran maybe religion, but this is not for me. So they
Okay,
follow.
so
They don't have an infallible guide.
Hassan, this question is for you because this is tough. This is a tough one for me, and you're familiar with this stuff. Are all the 6 authors of the 6 books Persian?
Oh, I actually wrote an article about this. I contributed with an article on sonsofsunnah.com. Go on sonsofsunnah.com, sonsofsunnah.com, and as far as I know and remember, most of them are of Persian origin. Yes. But then all the 4 authors, of the Shia main books are Persians as well. Kulaini bila shak. Maybe one of them is not. Al-Hurb maybe. But anyway, most of them are. And the ethnicity is not important if you're suggesting something in that direction. We don't care about ethnicity. Even those, when we use sometimes terminologies when they're called Majus and whatnot, this is because of their ta'zeem, of the veneration of Majusi rituals and ayat like Nowruz. I'm going to explain this in future videos, like the Eid of Nowruz, and that they are pathetic, generally speaking, when it comes to the Arabic language, when it comes to Quran. Of course, exceptions prove the case, but yeah, there are the 6 scholars, most of them, the 6 authors of the books, they were Persian as in the ethnicity, but they were raised in a Muslim Arabic-speaking environment. So to our standards today, they were Arabic speakers, really.
All right.
Not like Arabic in his hiding, or even if he speaks Arabic, it's so embarrassing that he can't address his own people.
Okay, so this one's to you as well. Assalamu alaikum. Many Iranians are leaving Shi'ism and are becoming to true Islam. What is the true percentage of Muslims who are Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Iran? Is Shi'ism on the decline in Iran?
Nobody knows exactly what they're, because the reason is simple. There is no official counting of Sunni and Shia in Iran. The government drops sometimes some numbers, and people pick up old official numbers. For example, in some books, I still see 4%, which is an absolute joke. All the borders of Iran are majority Sunni. I saw on the, what is it? Was it this FBI's page? Yeah, they have some statistics. FBI, they have statistics there about all countries in the world, and I think they're estimated at 9 to 10%, which is also it's an old number, very old. Today, independent sources, especially Sunni sources, of course, Iranian Sunni sources, estimate the Sunnis in Iran between 20 to 25%. Some go further than that, but I personally believe it's around 20%, which is more than enough. Alhamdulillah, Iran is 80 million, 20% of 80 million. There's more Sunnis in Iran than in the whole Gulf region and in Lebanon and Palestine put together.
All right, great. I see some people spamming, man, the same guy with the references, Sahih Muslim, some people spamming this soon and a lot of stuff like that. Let's see if there's anything else. Here. Mashallah, we still have quite a lot of scrolling to do. Why are the children of Al-Hasan not infallible?
Well, from a Shia point of view, the answer is like Allah yafal ma yasha. Allah wanted so. From our point of view, there is isharat, indications that this is with the ghulu of the Rafida when it comes to Persians, and that's why about Salman al-Farisi, they have strange narrations and they attribute ilm al-ghaib to him, and they believe it is mentioned in books of history, but most Sunni scholars don't authenticate it, that Al-Hussein married Shahbanu, who was the daughter of the last emperor of the Sassanid Persian Empire, the enemy of the Prophet Yazgir. So some scholars argue that, look, you see Hussein, from Hussein on, this is strongly believed in 12ism. We as Sunnis, we do not hold this belief. We say, yeah, it's mentioned in history books, but there's no really something strong and authentic. However, as you can imagine, in the Shia religion, which is led mainly by Iranian Maraja, they strongly believe that Hussein's wife was Shahbanu, the daughter of the last emperor of Persia at the time of Umar al-Khattab. And so 2 royal bloods have mixed. The royal blood of the Quraysh, of the Bani Hashim, and the royal blood of the Sassanids, so Zain al-Abidin. And from the 4th Imam on, all of them have royal Persian Majusi Sassanid blood, which يعني, if at least the scholars would reject this story, you know, that Hussein married Shahrbanu. And the funny thing is, they mention how Umar, you know, gave Hussein. Some sources mention that Umar gave Hussein Shahrbanu. But anyway, there are these qara'in, these supported evidences that show their ghulu and their veneration of early Majus and early Majusi figures, like Shahrbanu, the daughter of the last emperor of the Persian Sassanid Majusi Empire, which was the enemy of the Muslims at that time. Adab was defeated.
All right. Who killed Hussein in your opinion? If not Yazid, why was his head taken to Damascus after Karbala? Also, doesn't the matter of his death suggest a terrible state the Ummah was in?
No problem. No problem. I say it. Yazid killed Hussein. Okay, no problem. But keep in mind, be consistent. If Yazid, and I agree, I hold this opinion. My opinion is, what my research is, that the two main hands in the killing of Hussein is Yazid and his army and the fake Shias. To you guys, they are not the real 12 Shias. To us, you are also not true followers of Ahl Bayt. But let's agree that it was Yazid. So Yazid was sitting on his throne in Medina and was responsible for the killing of Hussein. Correct, Farid? Correct, questioner? Tayyib. So do not say then, when we say that Umar al-Khattab has spread Islam and defeated the Persian Empire, do not respond back that like your scholars with the pathetic excuse when they say, but Umar was sitting on his throne in Medina, what has he done? Well, he was the head of the army. He gave the order. He was sitting on his, Aslan Umar had no throne, but he was sitting on his chair or whatever, he gave the order. So all the hasanat are for Umar, and just like the sayyi'at, the evil deeds, are for Yazid. May Allah curse him for his evil.
All right, alhamdulillah, we're actually almost done with the questions, which I'm honestly surprised. Alhamdulillah, finally, Ali Raza has actually mentioned the narration, and not just the number, so I can actually respond to it. It's about the narration in which Ali is calling Umar and Abu Bakr, or mainly Abu Bakr, a liar, sinful, treacherous, and dishonest. You mind if I answer that one?
No, Bismillah, very good answer.
All right, thanks. Okay, so in regards to that, if you look at the narration, read the narration from the very beginning. The narration starts off with Al-Abbas and Ali coming in to Umar, requesting their share of Fadak, or excuse me, requesting Fadak itself. So Al-Abbas says to Umar, solve this dispute between me and this treacherous, dishonest liar. Al-Abbas says that to Ali. Look in the narration, the same narration you're quoting, book number 19, number 4349. You look up that narration. That's what it says. Al-Abbas says that to Ali. And then Umar responds to them saying, that's what you said about Abu Bakr. You said about Abu Bakr that he's a dishonest liar, etc., etc. This is min bab al-ilzam, suggesting that if you are going to have these disputes on this specific issue, then that is your view about Abu Bakr. Now, here's something that's very important to keep in mind. When they went to Umar, why do you go and seek justice from a man who stole this land from you? And in the same narration, because of course they believe that Umar was just, in the same narration, Umar asks them, did you hear that Rasulullah say that we do not leave an inheritance, and that everything we have left as an inheritance is a sadaqah? And Ali and Al-Abbas both said yes. Inshallah, that's a sufficient answer. Hassan, you have any comments?
I would direct, yes, Barakallahu Feek. I can't add nothing to that except that I think we have stuff on our website, rawashare.net. The brother, these things need to be studied. You know, these are shubuhat. Sometimes you need to study that. And most importantly, Ali went with his uncle to the Amir al-Mu'mineen. So the Shias lie that Ali is only Amir al-Mu'mineen and Ali does no taqiyya. You don't, I and you, we do not go, none of us would go. This is not like today. You can't compare it to our times where you have to go to a court and you have to accept the ruling of this evil judge. They went there. They went there on their own behalf. Is that correct, Farid? There's no such a thing that Umar.
Yeah.
Umar didn't drag them. Umar didn't take out his whip and drag Ali again around Medina as they claim. So they went on their own. That means they believe that he's a just judge. And indeed he is, because he's Al-Faruq, Umar radiallahu anhu. He's the one who has extinguished the fire of these Majus. Radiallahu anhu.
Again, Ali Raza, if you don't find the answer to be sufficient, go look up 12vershia.net, type in Fadak in the search box, and you're going to find the lengthy answer to your question. Here's one that's we should answer very briefly. I think it's going to be the last question, Hassan. Salam boys, can you please give an insight on khums money, the concept behind it, and what's happening in today's world with the money?
Oh, this is khums money, as you know, in Shiism, subhanAllah, they use one verse. There's, for example, in my country, it's known barely anybody pays zakat, whereas khums is the big deal, big thing. And among the believers, practicing religious folks in Iran, the Shias, they don't fail to pay their khums. Whereas zakat is mentioned over 50, 60 times and more in the Quran. Khums is mentioned one time in the Quran about spoils of war. There might be here or there some exceptions because they bring some ahadith about some exceptions where khums is also applied, not just for spoils of war. But anyway, the asl is it's for spoils of war. They have turned it into a whole religion where a Shia has to give 25% from anything he possesses, from anything of what he has and he earns. And this is a big scum. And there's so many documentaries in Arabic, and even they themselves, among themselves, exposing each other. Remember in Anti-Majus, there's many videos of this Ghizi guy, who's a former, and he is a mu'ammam, he is a turban wearer, but he doesn't wear his turban because it judged. Anyway, it's a long story. But he exposes the Sistanis, how the Sistanis have become rich there, and all these, subhanAllah, these games they play, Shia, they fool the Shia masses. They show them Sistani's small house in Najaf, in the alley, and then they say, oh, look how poor he is, not knowing that his family and here in London, their own mansions and villas, This is how all crooks and all corrupt and charlatans do this. They show Khamenei does the same in Iran. They show Khamenei's house and TV, very small house there, whereas he's a billionaire. He has bank accounts in Russia and whatnot. So khums is a big business, is a big scam. Again, the Shias are the first victims of it. We are not the victims of khums. And that itself, I believe, Brother Farid, an important point, we haven't done enough when it comes to khums. If we have done anything, really, I don't know even if we have any article.
There's one article on TSN.
One. It shows that we are lacking on this field. There's so much.
All right. So very, very quickly, a dear brother asks about the question of al-muhaddithun min al-ummah, an authentic hadith where the Prophet said Umar is one. Is that authentic?
Huh? Again.
It's about. It's okay. One last question: is the hadith about al-muhaddithun min al-ummah, al-muhaddathun min al-ummah, authentic hadith where the Prophet said Umar is one?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's authentic. That means this is with regards to a form of ilham. It has nothing to do with wahi. Nobody has. You see, these kind of narrations have never turned Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah into Umar worshippers, into saying, Ya Umar Madad, Ya Umar Aghithni, Bi Umar, I swear down by Umar. Ahlul Sunnah, these are fada'il here and there for the Sahaba. And as far as I know, this one in particular is authentic, or has been authentic.
It is, yes. Last question to you, Hassan. Is celebrating Nowruz haram? I saw a lot of pictures from Sunni scholars in Iran where they took part in some form of celebration. I saw Muhammad Saleh Bordel in front of a Haft scene. I don't know what that is.
Oh, mashallah. MashaAllah. So Muhammad Saleh Bordel, or whoever Iranian Sunni scholar is now the Dalil in our religion, or what? You see, I don't know who asked this question, but a straight Sunni with a sharp mind doesn't ask this question. Why? Because we know that everybody's statement and action can be and will be rejected if it opposes the Sunnah or the usul matters of our deen. Now, Nowruz is not just like some random holiday or something. It is 100% originates from the Zoroastrian religion, without any doubt. Without any doubt.
Allah
So
يبارك فيك.
because of that, it is haram, and not Salih Pordel and nobody else in Iran, especially scholars in Iran. You know, Sunni scholars in Iran, most of them I know, or I mean, the major ones I know personally, they some of them are forced to attend Khomeini rallies. Imagine, you know that? And even as, for example, the 22nd of Bahman, it is, yani, when it's the 22nd of Bahman, it's when the victory of the revolution. They have to march. If they don't march, they're going to imprison the families and whatnot. So you can never use, this is, yani, a Muslim should understand, you can never use anything the Sunni scholars in Iran do really against them, because they are under a very specific and difficult position, very difficult position. They are living under a Rafidi Majusi government, which venerates Nowruz, at least to a degree, definitely. The Majlisi, the Zindiq, and the fiqh, they have a'mal of Nowruz, rituals of the day of Nowruz. And so you can never use them as evidence. So no doubt it is haram, just like Saudi National Day is haram, you know. We don't have here no excuse for nobody. There is no Eid except Fitr and Adha, and every Jum'ah is the Eid of the Muslimun. That's it.
All right, Jazakallah khairan. This stuff, we do this once a week, same time, around 7:40 p.m. UK time. And that's all we have time for this week, inshallah. If you guys have any other questions, just pass by next week. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.